What up YouTube, Happy New Year. This is an update on my battery. These are the two new rows here, these two, and you'll see what I've done, which looks like a total bodge, and it is, but these bits of lollipop stick, what they're actually doing is the major threat of a short fire, whatever, is from this wire from the bus bar penetrating the top of the cell, which is actually, the side of the cell, which is the negative, and then you've got a short. So yep, it still looks like a complete pile of garbage, but it's all good. These were out of Dell 60 watt hour packs, so there's 16 batteries. So a lot of the, if you watch on previous video, a lot of the high power ones I pulled out, they all registered full on the iMacs, but then when you selected the built-in laptop, you know, the power tester thing, it would say it only had 2 or 3. These are some of the batteries which had been outside, which I basically, don't try this at home, I put them in the oven and defrost setting. It's only like 40 degrees for 10 minutes, and then put them in some silica gel. So they'll need a bit of cleaning up, but they might yet be useful. The tops were looking pretty shocking. There's still a pile outside of rusty ones. So anyway, this video is going to be mainly about my wind turbine, so we'll get on with that. I'm just going to have a cup of tea first. Aye. So this is what we got. Yeah, this is what we got. It's not a great deal of wind, but it's enough. I don't know how easy it's going to be to put the wind deflector on that side, because the wind's coming from the alternator side. But anyway, it's all wired up. So it's going in through the window. And I've got a car battery to get hooked up to it. That's the next thing that's happening down there. Got one off Facebook. Fiver, it's a Duff one, but doesn't really matter. Don't know how well you can see that. Yeah, you can see that if the thing will stay there. Good enough, I reckon. Cool. If you see it, 17, 18, 18, 19, gone above 20. So what I'm going to do is get it connected up to the car battery, and that'll kind of be a load. So yeah, sweet, that's next. Back in a minute. So with the wind coming from there, more ideal to have it down this end, but you know, it doesn't really matter. It's a little bit more discreet if these dog walkers there. So it's got 11, 10, 9, 11, 12, 13. Put the wind deflector up, so I'll be back in a minute. See, I've put that wind deflector there and it's pretty effective. is running a similar speed. You can see there's definitely more speed to the alternator, more torque, I presume. So let's go back in and see what the meter says now. I've put the bodged up wind deflector on. You'll notice I've left the jacking bolts in. Sorry, cut myself off. You notice I've left the jacking bolts in because I seem to be taking it off a lot at the moment, so it doesn't really make any odds. They're all undone, but they're not going to come out. So let's go check what the power's saying. Saying less. That's okay though, really, because for the experiment all I want to do is fill up that 12-volt battery and use it as a float, so I'm going to do that. I've just plugged the meter to the input there. Catching the wind a bit better now, but like I say, we're going to be running it up to 1 car battery, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, that's the next thing. I'm going to get the 12-volt battery hooked up to it and see what happens. I made an error somehow. The battery was on 11.5 to start with, and then it went down to 9.5. I've got it connected up via a diode, which I believe is on correctly, and now I'm just waiting for some wind. There's nothing, so I'm going to give it 10 minutes and then come back and see what's happened. But I know the wires aren't in any way satisfactory, but I haven't got any proper battery wires, so that's coming in from the turbine, and then there's one going to the meter, and that's the positive coming in from the turbine to the diode, and then to the battery, and the battery to the meter. So I don't know, if we get some wind it'll go up hopefully, and then when it goes up and hopefully connect it up to this beast, which I actually got given, believe it or not. So that's pretty cool. It's got 2 plugs. Overload, overheat, normal, low battery. But obviously no wind, no power. So it's just literally trotting round, so it's not putting anything in. But it's all set up now. So I'm probably going to upload this video, and then I'll take another one when I come back, or whenever we got some wind. Because of the diode, there isn't a risk of the battery power. Oh, it's gone up. Whee! It's gone up to 10, but that may have just been a natural little uppity. I don't think there's enough power. But see, the thing is, the battery now is constraining the whole system, so it'll need some wind to put more power in. And then, as I was going to say, if we do get some wind and we can get 13 or 14 in this thing, it's never going to be any good for storing power. But the whole idea is we can use the power via this or by anything else, as long as there's some coming in, which is the turbine's job on the wind. So anyway, I'm going to leave that, and I'll put an update on in the next couple of days, and hopefully we'll get this thing going, because it's pretty nice. So adios, happy new year. Realised I got some of these little Chinese adapters that cost about £1 each. Not adapters, voltmeters. So that makes sense to leave that on there. Then the meter theoretically can be used to measure what's coming in from the turbine, I think. I don't know if there's not any wind, then it might just measure the same, whereas if there is some wind, maybe we'll see a bit more there coming in from the turbine than we do on the battery side. But anyway, that's it for now. We're just waiting some wind, but I wanted to get that up and running again, and we'll see what happens. So peace out, happy new year again. So I've got the meter set up there, the red and black wire there reading what's coming in off the turbine, so it's 9.5, and that's quite predictably 10. So I'm going to leave it for 10 minutes, but if we don't get any wind, that isn't, neither of those numbers are really going to change. What I'm hoping is we get some wind, and then that'll go to 10, and that'll be forced to 10.5, and so on. So I'll give it 10 minutes, we'll see what's happening. So it's actually gone down a bit because there isn't a lot of wind, so I guess this test's gonna have to wait for another day till there's more wind. It's just not getting enough, like 5 or 6 miles an hour I think, so I'm just gonna keep it connected up, and then if we get some good wind, hopefully it'll go up, but I can't really test it at the moment. Hopefully more wind, we shall pray for wind. So yes, we're moving forward. It would appear I had the diode on the wrong way around, so now we're getting flinches of, you know, the the battery is sort of going to restrain the voltage at around 10.5 from the turbine until this creeps up. So the diode should go on this way with the battery connector to the washer end, and the turbine output to the hook end. So yeah, I'm going to leave this on for a while then. I'm glad I discovered I put the diode on the wrong way. It could have been embarrassing. So yeah, we'll leave that at 9.92, and then I'll come back in an hour and see if hopefully it will have gone up a bit. Cheers. Now we'll go back down. So now we're getting a tiny bit of wind, the battery's pushing up. That's the idea. Right? It's gone straight up to 11. Obviously it won't maintain that, but if there was more wind it'd get up to 14 or 15 and it'd stay there, and we could be using it while it's continually sort of draining and getting charged at the same time. So you can see there, it'll always be, if there's more power coming from the turbine than there is in the battery, it'll always only have sort of half or 1 volt different. So yeah, but anyway, we'll continue the experiments. So it's getting late, it's about 3 o'clock. There hasn't really been any wind, so it's just been putting a little bit in and then losing it basically, so nothing special to report. But please bear in mind the problems with the stator and the lack of wind. We shall see what tomorrow brings. It's the 2nd of January. Jolly good. It's Monday 2nd, not getting a lot of wind, so nothing really to report. Plus it's coming from that away where the trees are in the way, and I didn't want to chop all the trees down. So yeah, unfortunately there's no battery charging or anything going on because there just isn't enough wind. I'm gonna actually put a weight on either side, see if that makes a difference, because sometimes it actually seems to help when there isn't a lot of wind. So I'm just going to try. Hasn't made much difference putting the weights on. Really, there just isn't, it seems like there's maybe a volt or two more, but there's just not enough wind to get it going fast enough. Don't forget it's got a excuse me, a 2.8 to 1 gear ratio, so it has got to have something to actually push the rotor assembly round, which it does, but in this wind, see, it's just not enough. This faulty battery I got for a £5. We need some wind to start filling this bad boy up. These little these things are quite nice though. They're only about £1 each, I think, from China. Obviously crap quality, but so handy. Then you can have 1 meter on the turbine side and 1 meter on the battery side. So yes, we shall carry on. That'll be it for today, but never mind, when there's more wind I'll put up another